Sharon Salzberg, who's a Buddhist teacher that I follow, and that I actually got to meet and hang out with when I was living at the Shambhala Mountain Center in Red Feather Lakes, Colorado, she says these words about the interconnectedness of all things. She says, in the Buddhist tradition, bodhisattvas are those who, aspiring to enlightenment, make a resolve. They say, I vow to attain full enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. That is a pretty incredible vow. It means that we recognize our own liberation is intertwined with the liberation of all beings, without exception. It means that rather than seeing other beings as adversaries, we must see them as colleagues in this endeavor of freedom. Rather than viewing others with fear or contempt, which arises from a belief in separation, we see them as part of who we selves are. Seeing the truth of this fundamental interconnectedness is what is known as in the Eightfold Path as right view. The right view. Sociologist Brené Brown, who also has a deep spiritual life of her own, also talks about how spirituality is actually defined by interconnection, right? Spirituality is defined by interconnection. And she even takes it a step further by recognizing that this interconnection is in fact like inextricable. And when you look at that word inextricable, it simply means impossible to separate or, impossible to escape from. It's a bold statement, right? Yet there's a part of me that recognizes its truth. Like, even though we humans, we love to feel like we can just separate ourselves, sort ourselves, divide ourselves up into us and them, right? Into those who are with us and those who are against us, and to those who matter and to those who maybe don't. When it comes down to it, right? Like, the truth is that we are all connected. We all share the same planet, whether we like it or not. So for Brené Brown, like, it's this feeling of disconnection. It's this experience of disconnection that is at the core of what's going on. And if we value like our spiritual health, if we really care about our spiritual identity, like, we have to courageously find our way back to one another. Like, that's where we're being called. So this is what she says. This is from her book. I think this is from Braving the Wilderness. She says, when I look through the 200,000 plus pieces of data my team and I have collected over the past 15 years, I can only conclude that our world is in a collective spiritual crisis. This is especially true if you think about that core definition of spirituality from my last book, The Gifts of Imperfection. She says, spirituality is recognizing and celebrating that we are all inextricably connected to each other by a power greater than all of us, and that our connection to that power and to one another is grounded in love and compassion. She goes on to say, right now, we are neither recognizing nor celebrating our inextricable connection. We are divided from others in almost every areas of our life. We're not showing up with one another in a way that acknowledges our connection. Cynicism and distrust have a stranglehold on our hearts. Addressing this crisis will require a tremendous amount of courage. Courage.